China's stock market appears to be in free fall now. Will the US stock market be next? Michael Snyder reports. Is the financial chaos that's currently happening in China a harbinger of things to come here in the United States? Today, the global economy is more interconnected than ever before, and economic warning signs have been popping up all over the planet in recent weeks. Of course, the US has certainly not been an exception. Employers are throwing workers out into the streets in very large numbers, and we've reached a point where hunger, poverty, and homelessness are all growing at extremely alarming rates. The US economy has clearly entered a very troubled period, but for the moment, US stock prices are still stable. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said about Chinese stocks. In fact, Newsweek says that China's stock market appeared to be in free fall now. After a rocky couple of years for the Chinese economy, the country's stock market appears to be in free fall now, with authorities asking institutional investors not to sell stocks in an attempt to stabilize share prices as foreigners are pulling out. Compared to 12 months ago, the FTSE China 50 index is now down almost 30%. The FTSE China 50 index, a real-time tradable index comprising 50 of the country's largest and most liquid stocks, has plunged by 1.77% between Monday and Tuesday as part of a long-term large decline over the past 6 months. Compared to 1 year ago, the index is down by 29.24%. China's market regulators have tried to stabilize the market by imposing restrictions that stop some investors from being net sellers of equities on certain days. And this strategy, with authorities offering what's known as window guidance and an attempt to help the country's stock market bounce back, was first introduced in October. Wow! Nearly a third of the entire value of the FTSE China 50 index has already been wiped out. Needless to say, we have not seen a similar crash in the US yet, but many believe that one is coming. On Tuesday, the Dow was down 231 points, but that's nothing to get excited about. It certainly would not be a surprise to see more down days in the near future, because stock prices are way too high right now. In fact, one expert just told CNBC that the market, quote, looks overvalued by about 9% to 10%, unquote. The market looks overvalued by about 9 to 10%, according to Aswath Damodaran. The expectation game has turned against the market, the professor at New York University Stern School of Business told CNBC Closing Bell on Tuesday. A stock market decline of 10% certainly would not be the end of the world, but what if the conflict in the Middle East evolves into a major regional war and the US economy plunges into a very deep recession? What would that do to stock prices? Without a doubt, the US economy is already heading to the wrong direction. On Tuesday, we learned that the Empire State Manufacturing Survey for the month of January was absolutely abysmal. Well, no one saw that coming. The New York Fed's Empire State Manufacturing Survey for January crashed from minus 14.5 to minus 43.7, the worst print in the survey history outside of the COVID lockdowns. The minus 43.7 print was a stunning 10 standard deviations below expectations of a bounce to minus 5.0. Under the hood, it was a bloodbath. New orders slumped more than 38 points to minus 49.4, the weakest since April 2020, while shipments dropped by the most since August. Worse still, the index of prices paid for materials increased to a 3-month high. So take a moment to read that again. It is not every day that we see a 10 standard deviation miss. The truth is that the US economy is in far worse shape than we were being told. At this stage, things are so bad that even Pixar is conducting mass layoffs. Disney-owned animation studio Pixar is poised to undergo layoffs this year. TechCrunch has learned that the company confirmed, while sources at the company said the layoffs would be significant and as high as 20%, or reductions that would see Pixar's team of 1,300 drop to less than 1,000 over the coming months. Pixar says those numbers are too high. Rather, the studio said that the numbers of impacted employees is still being determined due to factors like production schedules and staffing for future greenlit films. For many more examples of the mass layoffs that are happening all over America, you can see the article I posted, just the one before this. The private sector has been hemorrhaging full-time jobs, but government hiring has helped to mitigate the damage. Of course, the level of government hiring that we've been witnessing is simply not sustainable. The federal government, state governments, and local governments are all drawing in debt, and so belts will need to be tightened at some point. If you can believe it, the federal government actually ran a $129 billion deficit during the month of December alone. The U.S. federal government posted a December deficit of $129 billion, up $44 billion from 52% from a year earlier, as outlays rose while receipts fell from December 2022, levels that were swelled by pandemic-deferred tax payments. The U.S. Treasury Department said on Thursday. The Treasury said that outlays for December rose 3% to $559 billion, a December record partly as a result of higher Social Security outlays and interest on the public debt. Receipts for the month fell 6% to $429 billion. So what we're witnessing is insane. $129 billion in a single month is madness. But they're just going to keep borrowing and spending until everything completely crashes. We really are in the end game. Our leaders are going to try to keep the party going for as long as they possibly can, but it wouldn't be too long before the lights are finally turned off for good. Michael Snyder reports. This is by Michael Snyder, and he says about the author, my name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled Chaos is now available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 7 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing. And one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I have also started a brand new Substack newsletter, and I encourage you to subscribe so that you won't miss any of my articles. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream and the Most Important News, and the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely ask and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter. And any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. This is on the Economic Collapse blog by Michael Snyder. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.